that. I'm just going to thank you. Thank you so much, Becky, for that reminder. So Nkechi is going to go first, sharing from her story, and most especially, she'll be telling us what she did and how she scaled the hurdle of transitioning from stay at home to work from home. What were the steps that she took, and how is it now that she's now VP of growth after staying at home for 6 years and working in a business for a tech company in Africa? So those are things that you'll be hearing from this session and from Nkechi. I'm just going to hand over the mic to her, mute myself, and just pay attention because I'm also here to learn. Thank you so much, Nkechi. You got the floor. Okay, I have to mute.
Hey, thank you. Thank you very much, Temi. And welcome, everyone. Thank you for, it's a lot to give up your Saturday for a webinar. It's a lot. So, it says so much about you. You could be anywhere else, but you chose to be here. And just to let you know that I really appreciate that. Temi and I really appreciate that. So I'm going to start from the very beginning. As Temi told you, it's going to be very informal, and I'm going to be sharing from my heart. Okay, so after I got married, just a few months after I got married, I had to resign. Why did I resign? So my husband and I we're working, I was working in VI, he was working in Marina, then we're living in Okota at that time. To get to work on time, we would have to wake up at 4:30 a.m., leave the house by 5 to be able to beat Lagos traffic. If you are 5 minutes late, it would mean having to stress in traffic and then get to work really, really late. So we had to leave at 5 a.m. every day. Then I close at 5, he closes at 4, and then he wait for me to close for us to come home. We're getting home at 8 p.m., 9 p.m. He repeats the cycle again the next morning. And I was really worried, how am I going to, bring a child into this world with that kind of crazy schedule, commute to work and everything. So I decided I was going to resign. And I told my husband, he said, no, you cannot resign. Why? I did appreciate, him trying to make me stay or give me the reasons why I should stay on, that things will figure themselves out, but I'm a planning person. I think ahead. So when I knew that it wasn't going to work, when I knew that, okay, let me adjust okay. When I knew that that was not going to work, I started making my exit plan. What did I do? I sort of packaged my job description into a service and started offering it to my friends that were running business. What was I doing for my company? I was doing marketing communications. So search engine optimization, managing the website, social media management, writing content, both for inbound marketing and also for internal communications. So I started offering that as a service to everybody I knew, told them that I had a marketing communications agency. And my very first client, I cannot remember, was my friend, she's still my friend today, Ejiro. She was starting a company and she wanted me to do the website, start their online social media channels and everything. And I did it and she paid me. And then from there, I was doing the same thing for many other people. And within the first month of doing that, I made twice my salary. Now, how was I able to combine my job at that time with this side hustle? I would get home at 8 p.m., tidy up and everything, and then I would start doing my side hustle. Sometimes I would work till like 2 a.m., then wake up the next day, but sleep for a few hours, get to the office early. I was getting to work at 6 a.m. I get to work at 6 a.m., do my side hustle from 6 a.m. to 8 when work starts. And then that's how I was doing it. when I saw that, I mean, I could earn a living doing this, I went to my MD and told him that I wanted to resign. He said, "Oh, Nkechi, what would you be doing at home?" And all of that. I told him that I started a marketing communications agency, so I'm not going to be idle at home. He said, "Oh, that your company should give me a retainership. I want to be seen here once a week. You continue working for us," and all of that. So that's how he retained me as I got my first big client. So I did that I started doing that. I mean, got pregnant, had my child, and then, but I mean, the process of becoming a motherhood was a very challenging one for me because my baby came early. Then my baby came early. He had medical issues. So it wasn't a smooth ride. I mean, it affected me in every way possible. I wasn't able to do that marketing communications work as much as I would have. I mean, but I still tried. I still managed, to just continue for just a fewer clients than I was working for before I became a mother. Then during that period as well, one of the things that I really did was to learn, to study. So all the things that I was doing, I knew that I needed to upskill to remain relevant. I mean, that's the digital marketing landscape is I mean, it changes, it changes quite frequently. So I knew that I had to stay on top of it, do a lot of learning, do a lot of reading. I took a course from IE Business School on integrated marketing communications. So one thing I did during that period was that no matter how difficult life was, I mean, if I don't know what else to do, I just get a course and learn. And I found a way to go around, paying for these courses. I found out then that on Coursera, there's financial aid. Before you enroll for a course, when you select a course you want to take, before you enroll for it, there's the opportunity to access funding for it. And I would always apply for the financial aid. That was how I took all these courses without having to pay a dime. So I was taking the courses, getting my certifications and everything. One thing that was constant in my life at that, no matter how difficult things get, was to find a course to take. And during that time, so my child developed at 6 months, let me win. I realized that he had allergies, many allergies, from milk to egg to soy to peanuts to gluten, everything. I couldn't feed him anything from the stores. So I had to make his food from scratch in my kitchen, So doing this, I started sharing what I was learning about feeding my child, about, his nutrition and the recipes I was creating. I started sharing them online. And then found out that a lot of moms were, interested in learning, new ways to feed their children, apart from, the regular Cerelac and all of that. And that was how I built a community out of that. And then I discovered a product or a food crop that I started processing to use in making food for my child, because according to the research I carried out, it had more nutrients than cow milk, and it contains most of the nutrients that he would need. So I started learning about all of that, took a course from Stanford School of Medicine on child nutrition and cooking. Again, learning, finding a way to learn and equip myself, not just on the peripheral, reading articles or all of that, but I always find a way to find, a course to take from a university or from an accredited provider, so that I'm sure that I'm learning. I'm doing in-depth learning on that aspect that I want to focus on in my life at that time. And for that time, it was child nutrition. So I had to take that course. And then from there, I started my second business, which was into food processing of Bambara nuts into flour, and then from the flour into baked mixes and cereal and porridge for children. And that was a business that I started doing at that time. This was 3 years after I left my first job and after I did all the marketing communications agency work. Then within this period, one of the things that I did also, apart from, starting this business, building the online community around it, taking the courses, I found incubation programs to attend. So I did the Orange Corners incubation program. I tried to network, find people in my space who were doing something similar to what I was doing. And then I saw how they were developing themselves, how they were growing, and I tried to learn from them. One of the things they were doing was, attending incubation programs. So I started apply after getting many no's and unfortunately emails. I finally got accepted into this one, Orange Corners incubation program from a program of the Kingdom of Netherlands, where they take you through a 3 months incubation, intense learning, around starting a business, building your products and all of that, and then give you a grant. And I won some grants, Then within that period also, I also got into another program called One Young World. For this one, I got an all-expense paid trip to the Netherlands and to London to attend a summit that brings together 2,000 young leaders from all over the world, So, it was such an eye-opening time for me, networking, growing, learning, and all of that. One more thing that I did was also to take part in competitions, entrepreneurship competitions. There was this one called Entrepreneurship World Cup, where you participate in business pitches, and then whoever wins would now go on to the next stage to compete on the global stage. So I won for Nigeria. It was for the Nigerian competition. It was organized by EDC, that's Pan-African University, Lagos Business School, and some other partners. I won. I became national winner for Nigeria, and then was supposed to go to Saudi Arabia for the global competition with other winners from other countries around the world. But COVID happened. That's how I missed out on chopping Arab money. So please, as I'm talking, it's so weird doing Zoom calls and Zoom meetings, because sometimes it feels as if you're talking to yourself. Please, if you have any questions, if you have any questions, if you have anything you want me to divert to, just let me know in the chat. So I know that I'm talking with people, that people can hear me as well. Thank you very much, Mimi. So that was one of the things I did. And I'm going to tell you later in the course of this conversation, how all these things helped me get to where I am today. So fast forward to 2022, from the beginning of the year, I knew that I was done. I was done with entrepreneurship. I was done freelancing. I was done. I wanted to work in corporates. It was a strong yearning in my heart. I want to build a career. I didn't know in what, but I knew that it definitely wasn't going to be digital marketing, or it wasn't going to be digital marketing, it wasn't going to be customer service, it wasn't going to be any, but I just did not know what to do. I could do, my customers caught me. Let me see. Later, maybe very soon it could come back. I mean, I'm hopeful. I'm praying to God for direction for that. I mean, I've gotten a lot of messages from my customers from much Don't worry, guys. Don't worry, guys. I mean, just keep praying for God to make a way. If He makes a way, I'll go back. I'll go back. I'll go back. I promise. Not go back. Like I'll start the processing again. But I mean, this girl is a career girl right now, and that's the goal. That's the trajectory for me right now. So 2022, I decided to go back to full-time employment. And what did I do? So first of all, I told everybody I knew, everybody I cared to listen, that I am going back to work. If you guys have anything for me, please just let me know. Then in my usual manner of learning and finding, someone who is doing something that I want to do, someone who has achieved a feat that I want to achieve. I started looking, searching online, remote work and all of that. And that was how I met the icon, the legend, the brain, the beauty that is Temi, the remote work queen. And within that period, in fact, I followed her everywhere. I binged on her podcast, I binged on our podcast. I was like, my goodness, how do I just message this girl and tell her this life we are living is the dream, How do I message her and everything? I just kept on, once she posts something, I'm the first person to like it and comment and share it on my story. I was using another Instagram handle to pursue her, right? I was using another Instagram handle, not my personal Instagram handle, another Instagram handle. So I was pursuing her, listening to all the podcasts, commenting, liking, going back to the time she started doing Instagram, all the posts she made those years, I was liking, commenting. One day I sent her a long DM. After typing it, sent it, I unsent it. I said, no. Doesn't even know you, just come around. I said, God, I just kept praying that God will make a way for me to meet this girl. Then one day, I was going through my personal handle, it wasn't even then I realized she organized a workshop, a remote readiness workshop. Trust me, I was the first person to pay for that course. I didn't have a lot of money then. I mean, it was like all the money in my account. Immediately, I paid. I didn't even tell anybody about it. I paid for that course, and when the time came, I was a good student. My video camera on so that she can see me and see me very well, so that when I now come back to her DM, she will remember me. I'll be top of mind, So the webinar starts, and she says, Nkechi, I know you. I've been, she said, how did she even put it? I've been messaging you or something on your DM. You gave me tips for my child's feeding and things like that. And I'm like, hold up, wait a minute. You mean that what I was looking for in Sokoto was right there in my Sokoto, in my personal DM, and I was using another handle to pursue her. Immediately, I went to my personal Instagram page, and I saw chats that I had with her. You see, that's why it's good in this world, to be good, to be kind to people. Then I think she had 1,000 followers or so. With that 1,000 followers, she sent me that DM asking for something for her child, and I answered her and everything. Imagine if I was being bougie and not ignoring her and things like, just be good, be kind to everybody without expecting anything in return, because you just never know, really. You just never know. You just never know. So that was how I met Temi, and she took us through one of the best webinars I've ever attended. It was practical. I mean, after that workshop, I had a better understanding of how to go about my job search. I knew the things that I needed to do, but one thing I still didn't know was what career paths to pursue. So I'll get to all of that. But I want to talk to you guys again about ways that all these things that I did during my work from home or stay at home mom period and businesswoman period, how they all paid off. So everything I did then gave me the opportunity to network. So remember, I told you guys how I would, just find people online who were into the kind of business I was doing or something similar, follow them, learn from them, DM them, become friends. I have many Instagram friends that I've never met, but who have impacted my life in ways that I can't even begin to mention. I built so much network. Then the incubation programs also helped me build my network as well. And everything I did during that time also gave me my current job. Because, okay, another thing I didn't tell you guys was that when I decided to go back to paid employment, I had to go back to, offering my skills as a service to anybody who wanted it. And one of my skills is, writing. I can write copies, I can write proposals, I can write, cover letters and things like that. So one day, someone called me, someone I had met passively a long time ago, called me to say, oh, hello, Nkechi, I was looking for someone to write my cover letter, and someone highly recommended you. That would you be able to do that for me? I said, oh, yes, I can. So I did a cover letter for her. She's the CEO of a fintech company. I was like, hi, this would just be the perfect place for me to work right now. So during the course of doing that work for her, I told her that I was looking for a job. So she was like, oh, really? Send me your CV. And that was how I got the job that I'm currently doing. And number one, she was looking to employ an entrepreneur for the role that she was looking for. So someone who is transitioning from entrepreneurship to a career. That was what she was looking for. Can you imagine? And she knew my business. Like I told you, the community that I built then was quite big, that I knew a lot of people who didn't know me. She knew me, she knew my business, Machi.ng. She knew my business and had been following our progress, all the incubation programs, all the awards, all the, abroad things that I was doing. She was following all of that. And that was what made her employ me. Because according to her, she wanted, I was the perfect picture of the person she was looking to fill the role that she was looking, the role she created at that time. It was community entrepreneurship and innovation analyst. So that's how I got the job. So you see, where you are now, don't take it for granted. What challenge are you facing right now? What challenge are you facing right now in your life as a mom, as a woman? What challenge are you facing? Find the solution, kneel down, get on your knees, pray. Find the solution, read, study. In my quest to, solve my child's problem, there's no research paper I did not read that is online, that is free, that I did not read about Bambara. I read everything that I could find, because for anything that for whatever thing that you choose to do in your life right now, even if you don't have any challenge that is just that stay-at-home mom that you want to do, how are you improving yourself in that job? How are you improving yourself there? Are there books on stay-at-home mommyhood that are out there that you can read? Are there courses that you can take? Can you be an authority in stay-at-home mommyhood? Can you? So don't take whatever you are doing right now for granted. That's just what came to my spirit to tell somebody. Wherever you are right now, what course can you take? who can you connect with? I mean, someone can mentor you without you ever having the person's phone number or ever speaking to you. Just follow them. Read everything they've put out there. I have a friend, Folu Temi. I call her Folu Olatunde. She's a stay-at-home mom. But this lady, she has learned so much about this stay-at-home mom that anywhere they want a stay-at-home mom to come and speak in Nigeria, they will call her. She has also written a book on how stay-at-home moms can thrive. She started homeschooling her children, and she's learning so much about this. She's built a community online, and she's a stay-at-home mom. Now, today, tell me how, if she decides to go back to work today, that she won't find a place. Because number one, of the network she has built, number two, of the knowledge she has amassed, you know, how she has applied herself all these years, you know, just choose today to make a difference in whatever it is that you're doing. So whether it's a challenge you're facing or just where you are in your life at this moment, find a way to improve yourself and be the best you can be in that aspect of your life. Okay, so moving on. Another thing that my previous experiences is helping me with right now in my job is connections. So part of my responsibilities in my role is to build strategic partnerships for the company. She's the Cuddle blog. You can find her Instagram page is the Cuddle blog. That's her Instagram page. Please follow her, go and buy her book. Thank you. So, okay, the things that I did previously during the time that I was a stay-at-home mom, all the things that I did during that period, one of the ways they are helping me in my current job is in building strategic partnerships for my company. So because I've built my network, it's easy for me to know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. I've built partnerships for my company from Ataman. I've built partnerships for the company from Microsoft. I've built from Stanbic IBTC. For anything that I need to achieve in my company, there's somebody that I've met on Instagram or somewhere that knows somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody, you know. So do not take that for granted. Find communities, be a part of something. Don't be alone. Don't isolate yourself during this season that you are at home. So what would I have done differently when I started my stay-at-home mommyhood? What would I have done differently? Number one, I would have hired a domestic staff from the beginning. That's what I would have done. When I came back from Nigeria with my child after like 2 months of medical issues and staying abroad, when we came back, my husband wanted us to get one night, just woke me up and said, babe, I think we should get a help. I broke down. I cried. Are you telling me that I can no longer take care of my family? Is that what you are saying? I was so offended. I wept. This man does not look at me again. Thinking about that now makes me laugh so much because that was just foolery. If I had hired a help from the beginning, it would have helped me focus better on actually taking care of my child. Because sometimes you feel that, oh, cooking, cleaning, making their bed, washing their clothes is caring for them. It's really not. They will not remember how many of their clothes you washed. They will not remember. They might not even remember the food you cooked. What they remember is that time, those memories that you created with them. And thank you, my sister, 100 years of wife material. So, as in the perfect picture that I create now, if I were to start my family all over again, was that from the beginning, I would have hired a help, even if it's one that I could afford. I would have hired one. Do you understand? One that can help clean, help. So I'm not doing all those things, and I'm focusing on actually taking care of my child, playing with him, bonding with him, and things like that. But by the time you finish all the housework, you are tired, cranky. So please, if you are like me, then please, I'm telling you that if I'm to do again, that I've gotten a help from the beginning. So please get a help. I mean, there are ones within your budget, and there are other things that you can offer them apart from paying the huge money. That's some of them could ask. But just find a way. Get help. Get help, even if it's not a living help. Get help is what I'm saying. Get help. You can't be cook, cleaner, even if your husband is supportive. My husband is very supportive. I mean, he does the dishes, he does everything. But then it's not the same. He's not at home all the time. It's just not the same. Get help. That's what I'm saying. Get help. Get help, please. I mean, I'm not even going to mince words to say, oh, if you can, you don't have to get help is what I'm saying, really. Get help. If you not take anything from what I'm saying, from everything I've talked about, just take this, get help. Then two, I would have networked more. Majority of my networking during that period was online. Hey, I was a professional online networker, but thinking back now, I would have attended more events. I would have gone out more. I mean, if I had help, I'd have been able to do all of that, So network more. Network. Find communities that you can join. There are many communities out there that are always help that can make you focus, not the one that will drain you much more. Very important. Thank you very much for pointing that out. So network more, go out this December. What's happening in your area, your estate party? Don't say I'm an introvert. Go to your estate party. If your husband's work is in party, go there. When you get there, don't sit down. Walk around, talk to people, engage other people. Let me tell you guys, so what we don't realize is that when you're not talking to many people, when you're not networking and engaging with other adults as much as you should, okay, let me say it myself, so I'll not offend anybody. I became dull in my brain. Yeah, I knew that I used to have severe social anxiety, right? I can be somewhere talking and I freeze and I won't remember my words, but it got worse. It got worse. One time I went for a networking event. That one time I went for a networking event to introduce myself. I started and froze to introduce myself. This is me that has done pitches, competitions, travel, read. No matter how much you read, if you're not speaking, if you're not engaging, it's practice. It's a muscle that you have to build. And you do that by going out and meeting people and having conversations around things other than motherhood, childcare, and things like that. So the third thing I would have done is that all those courses that I was taking in marketing communications, I should have been sharing the things that I'm learning on LinkedIn. I should have taken my LinkedIn page more seriously. So that's one thing I should have done. I would have done differently. All the things I was learning, sharing them online, writing articles about them, establishing myself as an authority there. That you know it in your head is not enough. You need to show. Temi calls it public amateur. Yes, you're not an expert, right? But I mean, you're learning and you're even practicing the things that you're learning. Put it out there. Let people know that you know these things, So that's the third thing that we'll do differently. Last thing I'm going to talk about is what am I doing now? Quickly, because I've taken so much time so that Temi can come on and teach us how to get this dream remote job that we all want. What am I doing now? I started my job at Secluded as a community manager. Within 2 months, I went from community manager to VP of growth and now acting CEO. And my goal still remains to work remote and earn in dollars. I mean, I'm not there yet, but Chiquita has given me a solid start. And for that, I'll forever be grateful, you know. Then my goal right now, because one of the things that Amy taught us in that remote readiness workshop is this. Yes, you hear people come on to say, oh, they're earning $5,000 a month, they're earning $6,000 a month, and then you want to start earning $5,000 a month from the start. No, find a way to get your foot in the door first. Set small financial goals for yourself. I started with, being able to, earn enough money to say, you know what, this month, what is grocery? What is grocery? Buy grocery without blinking. I've achieved that, My next is to be able to pay rent, all the full rent, afford the rent without anybody's input. Even if I don't pay it, I won't pay it, but I want to be able to say that, God forbid, anything happens to my husband tomorrow, I can pay our rent. That's my next goal. So yeah, small. Then the third thing that I'm doing that is happening to me now is that I finally know what career path to build. Temi will tell you people that I am a chaos human being when it comes to my skills and career. I can do many things, and because of that, it was difficult to choose a career. I kept disturbing her. She said, Nkechi, I can't make that decision for you. You need to. So I finally found it. My goodness, and it's in growth and product marketing. And guess what? I recently completed a course in product-led growth marketing from Product School. Again, it was free. Their school fees is expensive, $2,000, $2,500, but then I found one free course from them and I did it. So a lot of times it's free or you can afford it. Then next year, I'm starting a postgraduate diploma in CIM. Temi will tell you later on that you don't need to have all these certifications to start your remote journey, right? But this is me, I'm a learner, I'm a student. So these are the things that help me, and I'm doing that. So another thing is to ensure that I give my best in my current job and I'm not doing it for my employer, I'm doing it because the results that I'm gaining now will speak for me. They are my results. I can beat my chest anywhere and say, see, I achieved X and X. And is it X or S? X. I achieved X and X in my previous work, and so whatever your hand finds to do now, if you've already started, make sure you're giving your best, make sure you're not giving excuses. I never give excuses to my children are concerned. I've not taken any leave so that if my child falls sick, that leave I would have taken, I'll use it. Children come with a lot of emergencies and stuff. I cover them with the precious blood of Jesus. They're not going to fall sick and everything, Jesus name. But I manage my time so that even if it's just maybe to go on a vacation with them or just to have time with them, I've saved up enough, no excuse months to be able to say, you know what, I want to take 1 week. And nobody would argue that because, she's never taken a leave before or something. As women, these are the sacrifices that we make. The truth is that we're not on the same level as the men. They can afford to wake up and say, this is what I want to do. And because they know you are deaf, let me not just enter into that conversation, but as women, there are sacrifices that we have to make. And our journeys differ. So where you find yourself, just be intentional. That's the last thing I'm going to leave you guys with. Be intentional. Be intentional. Be intentional. Don't be a robot. Have a schedule for yourself. Have a schedule for your children. That's the other thing I did. The moment I decided I wanted to go back to work, I created a schedule. How old was my baby? Was my baby then? He was way less than 10. 10 months, was way less than 10 months. I can't remember the exact, I don't want to think about that now, but he was way less than 10 months when just about 7, 8 months when I started work. And he wasn't sleeping at night. And I took it upon myself that, you see, this boy, you have to sleep. His brother has a schedule already, 7:30 p.m. He's asleep, and that's it till 7 a.m. the next day. I said, no, I shall also let you know that I am your mother. So what I was doing was that once it's bedtime, I will back him and walk the length and breadth of my estate. By the time I've done it twice, I would have lost 100 calories and he would have slept. Now come and put in there. By the time I did that for 2 weeks, at that time, he would sleep. So find a way. There's always a way. There's always a solution to whatever problem that you're doing. You're not helpless. Believe me. And that answer you're looking for, stop looking for who will give it to you. You have God, right? Kneel down, pray to him, ask for direction, ask for wisdom. And whatever he tells you to do it, be intentional about doing it. It's not easy. Motherhood is sacrifice, period. So there's no two ways about it. You have to sacrifice, make a lot of sacrifices. So I hope that with these few points of mine, I've been able to convince you that you can transition from being a stay-at-home mom to a work-from-home mom. And even if you're not ready to transition, that there are things that you can start doing right now that would improve your life, that would give you so much joy and so much fulfillment, such that when you're ready to move, those things will will propel you to that height you want to get to. Thank you. Temi, over to you.
Simio, I was literally just shouting and saying, this girl, you have no idea. You have no idea. Like, when you said, our men can afford to do, I'm like, yes. Because I feel like, oh my God, I had my first baby. I have the most amazing husband, but sometimes I still look at him. He's sleeping. I'm like, look at this one, unscratched. You don't even know what it is. They have an idea what I've been through, right? And I mean, it's, as women, we are a box of energy. And thank you so much for that session. It was super relative. It was relatable. And that's the one thing that I enjoy about speaking with you, is that, look, there's no hair of there's no hair of forming. You're very real, and I totally enjoyed listening to your story. Thank you so much for sharing. I think the biggest takeaway for me is that you literally have to be, first of all, disciplined as a person, disciplined with your parenting, with being a mom, first of all, and then with realizing that your future, your entire life is in your hands. Whatever you do with it is what becomes of it. So thank you so much for that session. So moving on, guys. I want to try and keep this particular session under 45 minutes. So I'm going to, so can someone set their timer for me? I'm saying this because I'm using my phone and I don't want to use my wristwatch because I don't want to get distracted. I'm using my phone and I'm using my computers as well. So thank you. Okay. Before I get started, I want to do a census. I'm so glad that this call is small. Coming from someone that has a huge following, I feel like I'm more real. I'm able to have better conversations in a very small, knitted group. I'm real. I'm able to talk about different things when there are not a lot of people in the room. And I'm glad that we're not over 40 yet. I feel like if everybody that registered for this particular event had joined, I would have been nervous. I would have not been able to have this, this talk the way I wanted it to be. But before we get started, I want everyone to comment in the session. You are one of three categories. You are either a stay-at-home mom who is running their own businesses, like Nkechi was doing. You're a stay-at-home mom you're a stay-at-home mom who's running their own businesses, and you have previous experiences working in corporate. or you're a stay-at-home mom who had previous experience working in corporate, has taken a gap year to take care of their child, whatever the reasons are, and now you're just not really doing anything. That's category number 2. Category number 3, you're a stay-at-home mom, you've had no experiences, you're not doing anything, and you're just looking to start out your career, as well as transition from being stay-at-home to working in corporate. So those are 3 categories. Let me know where you belong. Just type 1, 2, or 3. And if you're in more than one category, go ahead and type 1, 2, 3. So let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so that we can begin the scene. People should let me know, what can you see? Because I have a lot of tabs open and these things can get very confusing sometimes. Can you see my screen that says stay-at-home mom, work from home? Stay-at-home mom. Nkechi, can you let me know what you're saying, please? Okay, thank you. Great. All right, so let's move on, right? I'm reading the comments. Thank you so much. Keep it coming. It's helping me to know the sort of people that we have in the audience today so that I know exactly. Okay. Idayat, where are you then? Please tell me which categories you fall into so I know what to add to that. They run their business but feel like they do much more. So they're looking. So you've never worked in corporate, is that it? No, but you fall into the 3rd category, Vera. You're just starting out in your career and, yeah, you've never worked corporate, you're not doing a business. But yeah, are you a stay-at-home mom, Vera? All right. Okay. All right, guys, let's get started. So my name is Temi, for people who do not know me. And I am, I like to say that I am the remote work queen, just because that's how I literally, hello, guys, I went live on Instagram. This is one of my greatest nerve-wracking exercise to do. And I'm doing it on this call. So hopefully people there as well can benefit from this session. One of the biggest things that I think happened to me happened literally from when I got married. I got married in 2018. And just before I got married, I had lost my job. As a matter of fact, if you had asked me at that time, what was my life about? Who am I? We're in a corporate, we're in a setting, whatever type of setting. And then somebody asked me, hey, tell me, what do you do? Or they introduce themselves and they ask me that question. The truth is, in my head, I'm like, how do I introduce myself to you, right? And just before I got married, I usually have something that I say, oh, I am all about social entrepreneurship. I believe that social entrepreneurship will transform the world because social entrepreneurs are angels sent from heaven. I had this old pitch, everything was going well, but I was struggling with work. I was not enjoying it at all. And so when it came time for my boss to make that decision, I helped her. I was like, ma'am, it's time, please. I feel like I've done more than enough to embarrass you and fold your hands already. Can we just move on? And so I feel like, after that happened, for me, it became a thing that I just started to struggle with my self-identity, who I was, but I'll get into the gist of that. First, I want you to know that I am a wife, I am a mother to an amazing baby, and I have another one on the way, and I am your coach, if you dare say so. Somebody called me the remote work queen one day and it resonated with me. I'm like, yes, I'm not there yet, but that's where I want to be. And that's the title that I owned. And so I've been literally saying it to everyone that, yeah, I'm a remote work queen. I will get to sharing my story, but just give me a minute. I know I'm rambling right now. Yeah, so let's get to it. So I remember that after I lost my job, it became a super hard thing for me to be able to share, my life's work, my life's like where I was. I would be in settings. My husband was working in a venture capital firm, and they had all these amazing fine people, women who were, smashing careers and doing big things. And I would be in that setting and I would just be like, Father Lord, everybody's introducing themselves, but I have no idea. I literally did not know what to say or would not know how to introduce myself, and it would come to my tongue. So when Nkechi was saying network, go out, meet people, in my head, I'm like, Nkechi, you don't know how these things are. Because like, all I remember in that phase, in that time, was all I knew to my name was I was a new wife. I was a young wife. I had just gotten married. Finished. My name is Temi. I just got married. That's all I knew to be my introduction. Because if you asked me what I was doing,
it's
first, I didn't have a job. Please ignore my computer. First, I didn't have a job. Second, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. The one thing I thought I knew to do, I suddenly realized that I wasn't even good at it. I wasn't even as passionate at it as I wanted. I loved social work. I loved to reach out to people, but I wasn't enjoying doing it day to day. It was not something that I found joy doing, and at that point, I'm just like, I don't even know where I belong. So if you ask me now, what would I say? Would I say I used to work in social enterprise, or I used to work, it just was not gelling for me. And so I really struggled with self-identity and with being, the best person that I could be, or putting my best foot forward. And if I introduce myself to you like that, chances are you're not impressed. You're like, who is this one? Who is this one that carried it? My husband is such a, he's such a smart guy. Everybody knows him at work to be this. And so when I introduce myself, like, let me not go and form my husband's hand. And I say, who is this one that this guy is going to marry like this? And so that was like the biggest struggle for me at the time. And I remember that beyond that, it was every time I told my husband bye and he goes to work, I'm a naturally restless person. When I was in school, I was doing full-time studies, and I was running 4 businesses by the side. I had a cleaning business. I was doing after school runs and teaching kids after their school hours. I was doing network marketing and selling products, from store to store. All my lecturers knew me to be the travel woman. I was in travel. I did that. And then I sold anything that was sellable. Sell air freshener. Just give me the product, I'll sell. So I was literally very restless. And so to come into marriage and come into that place where it's just the only thing that I can say about myself is I'm a new wife. It was just not gelling. It just was not me. And I remember that I would look at my husband with so much resentment in my eyes whenever I come back from him, like, you've got to do purpose work. I've now come back and I'm tired. It's me. Is it that would have come out to carry everything? And I realized that it's not even him, right? It's not something that he can do for me. And it took me a while to come back to the place where I thought I had what it took. And this was me who had worked in other industries, in other roles before I went into social entrepreneurship. And so for me, it was like, I just need to rediscover what I had done in the past that I super enjoyed. And the first thing that came to mind for me was I enjoyed speaking with customers. So how do I integrate? How do I go back to that? And I started, like Nkechi, started taking courses, started reading books, it was just, yes, exactly, Grace. Like, it's not intentional. It's not like you're just looking at your husband and you're just like, well, I will eat this boy. It doesn't happen that way. It just builds up. It's from, you're cleaning the floor today, you're like, see this one who came back yesterday, dropped his socks. It's not your fault. Maybe it's because I'm at home. It just builds up like that, and then you start to resent, that place that you're in. And so that was it for me at that time. And I started rediscovering what was it that I enjoyed about the previous roles that I was in, and how can I become the woman that I want to be? I didn't even know who I wanted to be honest. I didn't have a picture of the woman I wanted to be. But via reading, from researching, finding out about what are these beautiful people doing online? What are people doing in magazines? Some people are doing interviews and articles. So I'm like, okay, what is this person doing? What career path are they following? Who are they? And so in reading about them, I started to expose myself to what is possible. I look at this woman and I can see a future. I can see myself being in their role. I can see myself being on the stages that they have been in, being, talking to the people that they are speaking to. And that was how I started to build up dreams and aspiration again. And it's just in exposing myself to all these different things. So I decided to own the outcome of my life and say, okay, so this is the picture of the woman that I want to be. I did a lot of journaling, by the way. I'm like, I literally wrote out what are the things that I would like to see. They are very vain. They are vain things. It includes buying wig. I'm telling you, it has a lot to do with, things that I don't even think I want to share in public. So I wrote out all the list of things that I wanted to see happen, manifest in my life, a lot of things that I wanted to do with my career. And after I wrote all of that out, it lit up some fire in my heart that, oh my God, this is achievable. This is something I can have. This is something I can do. This is something I can have for myself. And from that moment onwards, that became the mantra. It became the thing that I patterned. So I started asking myself, what do I need to do? Who do I need to become to be this woman, to be this person? How do I go from this point that I'm in right now, where I literally have no source of income, nothing at all, to being the woman, that is speaking on stages, that is talking to people, that is in a room with, with all these women, these amazing women right now? How do I become that person? And so I started to figure out what career path, first of all, that I wanted to go, where I wanted to go into, and what do I need to learn to become that person? And so I started learning about customer experience, particularly customer success. And then I'll tell you the rest. Let's keep going. Now, I want to tell you for sure that transformation is painful and it is slow, excruciatingly slow. It's like you're doing all these things, you're reading all these things, it's bringing light to you, but you're really not seeing the difference. You're not seeing the change happen from, it's not happening the way you want it to happen, is what I mean to say. You're like, okay, so if I start reading now, if I start doing this course now, they say that I will start seeing differences, but it doesn't really happen like that. It happens from knowing first and then applying and then, going for what you want. And in my case, what happened was after I started studying and, doing all these courses, I was now a lot more brighter. I was happier. I was a happier wife. Now, when I comes back to work, from work, I have conversations, I have things I want to discuss with them. I'm like, babe, I read an article today. Customer experience is the biggest. It's like, okay. And so when there was an opportunity to join a company that was literally just starting out to help build their customer experience department, just because I've had, don't forget, it's not like I wasn't a newbie. I've had experiences working in sales, in business development. I've done all these things in the past. It's just that because of that one experience I had at that job, I literally forgot who I was. I was lost, in the light of that work, and in the light of how I've sold myself, how I've introduced myself, how I've identified myself, to where I'm just like, so do I go back to all those people that I told that I was a social entrepreneur and say, I'm not social entrepreneuring again? So I was just in a rut, basically. And so to come back to say there was something I was excited about, there was something that I was passionate about before now, I think I'll go back to it. And I think that I'm not just going to go back to it, I'll go back to it with purpose. I'll go back to it because I want to build this. I want to build a life that I desire out of this. It was an intentional thing that I had to do. So I joined this company and oh my God, it was the best experience. Oh geez, I feel like joining that company was the best decision that I had to make, that I made for myself that year. In fact, up until now, working in that company it wasn't like the company was the best of the companies, no. But working in that role showed me what I was capable of doing. Working in customer experience, as most people would know, is like, working in customer experience for most people is like, let me just do it because that's how I get my foot in the door. Customer support, there's nothing there, it's just what I really want to do is this, but I can start with customer support. That's how people think about customer support. But for me, I wanted to be able to impact and help people in a way that is genuine, in a way that is impactful, in a way that they would relate to a business, or they would relate to a product, or they relate to a service that we have rendered, and they would be excited, they would be glad that, oh, thank God I met Tammy. That was, for me, that was it. It's like someone has had a bad day and they interact with me, they leave that particular call or that meeting or that email or whatever it was, and they're leaving fulfilled, they're leaving happier than they came. And this company was doing an head tech product. And I remember that I would, for every conversation I had, I became friends with all the customers. We had over 300 people in the program. And every single person knew me by name. I was the only person that was doing customer experience. It was just me. It was not a team or anything. And so they knew that, look, if for nothing at all, I want to be here because Tammy, because Tammy is here. That's all. So when it came time to bring in a new set, so this set of people have graduated, they are moving to a different level, and we need new customers. We didn't do any marketing, we didn't do any advertising. And then we had literally we replicated the number of people that were in that program, we replicated them again. And we didn't do any advertising. When we asked them how they joined, they'll say, oh, my friend told me about it. And so we went back and asked all those friends, those students who were in our program, to say, why did you refer the program? Because first of all, they will say that our product was shitty, the app was bad, something. So why were you referring people? And the biggest thing they said was the support was great. That even when things were, breaking and things were not working, we knew we could rely on the support. And for me, that was like the biggest deal. I'm like, yes, I know this thing, I sabi am. I sabi am. And so because of that, I said I was going to continue to pitch myself. I was going to continue to build this thing that I could do and build it up in a way that I can start to look for global opportunities. That was the beginning. That was where it started. This was 2018, 2019, right? By the end of 2019, we started to have issues with the business. We're not able to get money directly from our investor. The money we're making from the students was not enough to keep running the business. And so I was going months without salary sometimes. Sometimes I didn't even know when salary was coming. And I knew that I could not continue to move to work like that. So I think it was December, it was very early January of 2020, I resigned. And 2020 was the year that marked my entire career. In 2020, after I resigned from that job, I knew that the very first thing that was the most important thing to me was I was not going to work in a role. That job, by the way, was paying me 150,000. That was how much I was earning. And so I knew that I wanted to work in a role that, first of all, would allow me to continue to do customer experience the way that I knew how to do it. Second of all, I knew that I wasn't going to go into a role that was going to pay me anything less than 600K. And let me tell you the motivation behind the 600K. So there's this girl that my husband and I know who works in PR in Nigeria. The girl has a car, she's single, she has an apartment in VI. I was just looking at her like, this is a human being. She don't have twitch. There's nothing she has that I know of. How is this single person, this young girl, how does she have all this, nice things? And from someone who was earning 150K, trust me, that life was luxury. And so my husband said, oh, she works in PR now. I'm like, how much do you think she's earning? I'm like, maybe 600, 650. I'm like, just PR? What do I do with my life? So I said, look, any role I went into, if they cannot pay me 600 or 650, they should forget it. Because 600 and 650 or 650 is the air mark to big girlism. If I can earn 600K, I'll paint Abuja and Lagos red. I'll buy a red car. I'm not even joking. I had all this grand vision. And so I got into this, I started looking for the opportunity to join the business. I did not know that I could look for global opportunities at the time. I was just very open, but I knew that I wanted to be remote. I wanted it to be remote because my husband is always traveling, and I don't want to be alone at home. I've never appreciated the idea of husband is somewhere, their wife is somewhere else because work. I'm like, anywhere you go, I go, I'm root, please. So I wanted the opportunity to be able to travel alongside and to be able to what's the word? Have the flexibility of just moving everywhere. And so we've been married for 4 years. We've moved from Lagos, we moved from Abuja to Lagos, back to Abuja. Then we've moved from Abuja again to Lagos. These are different apartments. And then we've moved from Lagos to the UK, and we're still going to move from this apartment to another apartment, and then to another country, and then so that's the life. That's, for me, that's it. And I did not want any job to restrict my movement in life. So I knew I wanted it to be remote. And so come 2020, I said, I want a job in customer experience. And I found this job and I did the interview. Guys, as I was doing the interview, it was one of the hardest interviews ever. My boss is following me on Instagram. And if you can hear any of these things I'm saying, I don't know why they made that interview so hard. It was like, you want to do a NSA type of work. That's how it was. We're doing it. I'm like, after this interview, they should not come out farming one rubbish salary. I will negotiate their head. And then they sent the offer, guys. And it was 30K USD. I looked at it again, 30,000 USD a year. That's $2,500 a month. So I calculated. Dollar has even risen now. Dollar was not that. Dollar was like maybe 450 that year. I calculated 450 times 2,500. I was like, wait, maybe these people are joking. Maybe they are playing. So I went back to my husband and said, dude, what do you think? Like, it's true now. If they offered you, they offered you. I'm like, okay. Let me just quickly send them acceptance email before they change their mind, before they realize that they made a mistake. So I sent her an acceptance email. I did not negotiate far. I just said, take me on. It's not customer experience. I will do it for you. And so I started a job, I think towards second quarter or so. Then something happened and it didn't work out and I needed to leave. Again, this was still 1 year, in one single year. But now I knew what was possible. I knew I could earn 30K USD. Guys, that broke all the ceilings, every limitation I knew in my heart. I'm like, yes. And so I got the job. I left the job and I decided that I was going to look for other opportunities. And this time, I was a lot more intentional about every single thing I did with my job search. Everything I'm going to teach you in this class was exactly what I did, to be able to get that job. And I got, in fact, it wasn't just one job. I got a lot of interviews, but then I got 2 offers from 2 different companies. And I was now at a crossroads to say, okay, let me decide which should I go for. Imagine me, that do not know what they want to do with their lives. Just some months ago, is suddenly having double offers, and they're like, God, what God cannot do does not exist. Anyway, so this new job had asked me that how much was I earning in my previous role, how much would I want to earn, and I'd thrown it back to them to say, you tell me, what's your budget for this role? And I said, look, as a business, we don't offer anyone less than 40K USD. I'm like, oh, okay. At least now I know. Now I can negotiate better. And so I told them, look, at my previous work, right? This was what I was earning, and I don't expect to earn anything less than that. As a matter of fact, I expect to earn more. So I told them my price or what I wanted to earn, and then they came back and said, well, that's fine. Does that work for you? Is that okay? And then I negotiated more. I said, look, you have to give me housing allowance. You have to give me this allowance. And they said yes to all my demands. Guys, I've been at that same company since 2020, and I've grown since then in my role to becoming a manager of 15 people and then of 13 people. And yeah, that's the story of my career. And that's how I know that. And by the way, let me just distribute, because we're inside this group. That's why it's very good to have a small group. That job offered me 50K USD plus all of the other benefits that I've told you about. And all of this happened to me in 1 year, in 2020. So I went from earning 150,000 naira a month, to earning $2,500 a month, to earning $4,400 and something dollars a month, right? So it can happen for me, who, first of all, did not even know that I had the skill set that was necessary for that job. I think that if you believe it and if you're able to do the work that I'm going to teach you in this session, it can happen much more for you. And time can be collapsed. Like this thing I've just done that's happened to me, that happened in 1 year, happens to people in the space of 10 years. Time can be collapsed into months, into weeks, if you believe it, right? So, Grace, I don't need a PA. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's move on. And I've said this, that transformation can be painful, it can be slow, but the reward is immense. The reward is rewarding. Let's just put it like that, right? So you've listened to my story, you've heard how this transformation happened for me, and it looks like, hey, this one person, and you are probably just feeling incapable that that's you. You should know how to do customer experience. I don't know how to do anything. And or you're just feeling less deserving of some of these global opportunities and saying, my English is not even coherent. I cannot even speak the English that you are speaking. I'm not able to push myself the way you have pushed yourself. I'm not able to do the things that you have done. I don't have the required skill set. Maybe you had experience. I don't have experience. I don't have qualifications. Listen, and this is the one thing I want to tell you. See, that cannot be any far from the truth. And even if that was true about your current situation, there's always a workaround. And the workaround is what I want to show you here in this session. But before I can even get to it at all, the first question I want to ask you, and I want you to answer in that comment section for me, is how much do you even desire to work remotely, first of all? Or do you like the life that you currently live, in that you don't really mind, being a stay-at-home mom? You don't mind this life? Is that where you're at? Or do you really desire to work remotely? Do you really desire to be able to have a life of abundance that gives you flexibility and freedom to travel the way that I've traveled, to give you the ability to stay at home with your 16-month-old and be singing Coco Melon and know all the rhymes as well? Do you desire to be able to have the life, that I've described so far? Is that something that you want? If you do, then I want you to keep an open mind. Like, I want you to have such a mind. So I want you to have a mindset that says everything is figureoutable. No matter what happens, no matter the life, no matter what is going on right now, no matter what stage I'm in my career, I can figure this out. I can get there. I can build for myself the life that I want. I can write it like I did. I can write out a list of all the things I want to see in my life, and I can get there. It's not impossible, right? Now, here's the thing. For everybody that is typing this session, I'm reading low. What would be the most ideal job for you? What lifestyle do you want for yourself? Let me tell you, let me give you some hint into some of the things that I was thinking about back then, right? For me, I knew firsthand, that I wanted a job that I was happy in, a job that I would wake up in the morning and I would feel clusters of butterflies in my stomach, and I would want to go to a job that I would be like, I can't wait to resume at work. That kind of, not the job that will pay me well and I'm dreading to work at. I wanted a job I was excited in, a job I was excited at, a company that values culture in a way that I wanted it to, in a way that was significant, in a way that I could feel like these are not just my colleagues, these are families, these are family members to me, these are people that I can relate with. So that was very important to me. The second thing that was important was I wanted to be not just an employee, I wanted to be an authority in the industry. Whatever industry I chose, I wanted to be an authority in that industry. I wanted to be the one that told other people that, look, you need to get in here. Otherwise, I wanted to be able to speak on stages. I wanted to be able to speak in meetings, in webinars, in master classes. I wanted to have a life that was impactful in terms of teaching people what to do and stuff like that. So those were the things I was writing. I wanted to dress it a certain way. You know, I wanted to be put together and buff up nicely. I wanted to have a car if I wanted it. Trust me. When I now had the money to buy the car, I did not now want the car because I've learned how to drive 2 times and I've still not gotten it. I'm going to destroy the gate of our house one day and I'll not recover from the phobia. So, but I wanted to be able to have the option to say, I want to have a car. This is the type of car I want, and go to the where they are selling it and buy it and not have to get into a debt because of that. I wanted to be able to support my family. My husband was the only person that was the source of income, the breadwinner, the tea winner, every winner that can be, he was the winner. But I wanted to be able to support him in a way that was significant and say, look, we need 100K. Okay, I don't have a lot of money. I don't have money like you, but this is what I can afford, or this is how much I think I can support with. That was like the life that I wanted. I wrote out, the list was exhaustive, guys. It had plenty of things. So I want you to try to imagine what kind of life, what kind of job, what kind of lifestyle would you like to live? What would that lifestyle afford you to do? Please just keep writing it. See, it doesn't matter that someone is reading it or nobody's reading it. In articulating it, in writing it in the comment, it gives you clarity. It makes it real. It makes it achievable or attainable to you because you're just putting out the word to the universe, right? And so the next question is, how can we get you over the fence? How can we cross from where you are right now to this dream? I'm reading, Dr. Ya says, a job that gives me work-life balance, a chance to be a mom and a wife that I want to be, a job that provides training and promotion, financial freedom. I don't want my life to be tailored around my job. I love that. I love that. I love that so much. I want that for you as well. So how can we get you from where you are right now to, hey, Ayomide, God bless you. I want to be able to support my parents and buy the things I desire. See, this thing you said sounds small, but trust me. So I lost my dad last year. What am I saying? Last year, this year has not ended. I lost my dad this year, March of this year. And it broke me. It was the most painful thing that happened to me in this year. But I was happy. I was a happy daughter because I was able to support him the way that I wanted to. So he got really sick and he needed medical attention. He needed to do surgery and he needed all those different things. Before now, I wasn't the daughter that sent him money. If I sent him money, I would be sending him maybe 5K. You know, what would he do with 5K? It was hold. I didn't come from money. So my dad was not the kind of dad that would say, you want to go and start a business? Yeah, take 500K. If he had 500K, his life would be made. Right. So, but I knew that it needed more. It wanted, it deserves more, right? And just by getting into this whole thing I've told you guys about, guys, I started to be able to send him much more money. Like, I would send my dad 50K and he would call me and he will pray, the kind of prayers that you will be crying and be saying, amen, amen. That kind of prayer, it would touch your heart because you know where you've come from. You know all the things that you've had to go through, you know, together with this father. I'd lost my mom since I was a kid. So me and him, I'd literally have to, you know, we've gone through a lot of orders. He's done so many things just for the sake of being a father, right? And so to be able to give back to him was such a blessing. It was such a blessing. And so when he needed to do his surgery, we didn't even think twice. We're like, how much do they need to do that surgery? You know, it was not a thing of, hey, my daddy needs to do surgery. Where do we find money? It didn't even occur to us to think about where's the money going to come from. It was just yeah, we need money. Yeah, let's just do it, right? To be able to give to your parents, that if that's the only thing that you desire, trust me, it is so fulfilling. Okay, now how can we get you over to that fence? We've spent too much time in that. 28 minutes has gone past. Lord, how do we do this? All right. In order to do any of the things that I'm going to teach you, thank you so much for the condolences, guys. I'm in a better place now. I am. Thank you. I deeply appreciate it. But in order for us to do any of the things that we're going to teach in this session, I need you to be able to develop the growth mindset. The mindset that says, I may not know how to do any of the things that I want. I may not know what it takes from where I am right now to where I desire to be. But I know that there is nothing I cannot figure out. As long as I have a phone, as long as I have internet, as long as I have, life, I will figure it out. What does it take to figure it out? I wanted to be a professional customer experience person that could command the kind of salaries that I'm currently. No, I did not think that I can command this kind of salary. Let me not lie, it was 600K that I was looking for. But let's just say that I wanted to be the sort of person that could command, the type of presence that I currently have, to be a manager of people, to continue to grow and build a career in that field. I wanted to be that person. At that time, I didn't know what it meant. However, I was willing to do the work, just like Nkechi was telling you guys. I was willing to do the work to figure out what does it take to move from being uncertain, being unsure, to becoming the expert. And that's the kind of mindset I want you to have. That's the kind of mindset I want you to continue to go with. And now, where do we begin with that mindset? I want you to maintain an open mind throughout this class, to listen intently to everything I'm going to teach you, and try to imagine yourself being in that shoes and saying, okay, let's start from ground zero. I don't have what it takes. That's a given. That's admittedly, I don't have what it takes. And if I had previous experiences, I've taken a break and I'm about to start again. Now, what do I need to do? And how can this person be me? This person that is being described in this class right now, how can that be me? How can I put myself forward? How can I access these opportunities that Timmy is talking about? Now, what are the remote work options available to you? For everyone who have said, I desire to work remotely, I want to work from home and things like that. What are the options that are available? There are three of them. There are three major ones. There are lots of options, but there are three major ones I want to mention here. And the first one is freelancing. And the second one is selling digital product. And the third one is remote jobs. And you're looking at it and like, are they so different? The only thing that looks different is digital products, right? But I'll explain it to you in a minute. So freelancing is the ability to recognize that you have a skill to offer and to be able to offer that on your own terms, to be able to pitch yourself to people who need your services, and then, offer that service or offer that skill and exchange it for value, exchange it for money. So I can do graphic design. By the way, guys, that's not an example. That's me. I can do graphic. I'm a graphic designer by nature. My husband will work in on my design and say, are you sure you're not in a wrong calling? Because why are you so good? That's just a joke. Anyways, I can do graphic design. This is something that just comes naturally to me. I have an eye for design. How can I get people who need these services and offer it to them at a cost? And there are lots of sites to help you do that. I have a remote readiness. I have a remote job directory that have all the sites for freelancing as well. So if you're looking for freelancing opportunities, the biggest and first place I want you to check is Upwork. They have lots of freelancing opportunities that you can apply for and land at your own time. So basically, freelancing is one option that you can consider. With freelancing, you own your time. You decide when you want to work. You wake up in the morning and say, okay, based on my schedule, I don't think I can get to work until 2 o'clock. And what I can afford is maybe 4 to 5 hours. From 2 to 7 is the only time I have to work, because from 7 o'clock, I enter back into motherhood state, or I go and do mother things. Remember what Nkechi said, get help. That was the biggest, she kept emphasizing, get help, get help, get help, get help. Because for you to be able to do any of the things I'm about to say, you need time. You need to create space for yourself to add this to your already very busy schedule. Because as a stay-at-home mom, it's very easy to look at you and say, oh, but you're not so busy now, you should be at home. But you know in your heart of hearts that being at home does not mean having free time. It just means going from one thing to another, bumping into toys, picking this one up, cleaning up, calling somebody's name 10 times in a row, speaking gibberish and talking to children is stressful, is draining. I know it's because weekends are the highlight of my week. On weekends like this, I'm just like, I would have called Inioluwa like 100 times in the day. I'll be needing water. Ini, stop it. Ini. So I know. When you think about that, when you think about what you need to do with what you're currently doing, what's your life is about right now, and what you can afford, where do you find the space? So maybe you need to get help for someone to look after your child for a couple of hours in a day so you can have the time to do some of the things I'm about to talk about. Another option is to consider nursery. So my baby goes to nursery during the week, which is why I'm able to focus on work for a couple of hours. Then we'll go pick her up and then she's back at home with us in the evenings, right? So consider nursery and don't say, hey, my child is too young. They will not be teaching her. See, your child is in the hands of God. Who you are is a caretaker. God has put this child in your hands to take care of. However, this child will become what God has intended for them to become. They will go through life experiences the same way you did. You cannot block them from right and left and everywhere and say, no, let me just keep this child. You also need to let them be, let them find themselves, let them grow into their own person. And it starts from, trust me, it starts from this toddler-ish age, right? And you need to identify what's the best way you can get help. And if you cannot afford to pay for any of those services, how can you get help for free? Is there someone in your circle, in your life right now, your mom, your sister, somebody who can come and maybe sit for a couple of hours, and you can even pay them a stipend or give them a gift or just appreciate them in the best way that you can. However, going back to this, so freelancing is saying, I only have a couple of hours in the day to work. But I'm not reporting to any boss. I can decide how I do the work and when I do the work. And so, and then you start to pitch people based off of your time. You have contracts that you share with them and things like that. It's very close to being an entrepreneur, but it's not because you pitch yourself differently, basically. The second option is selling digital products. Now, I just said this here to say, sell what you know. Most people in this room right now know at least one thing. Maybe you know how to make gizdodo. It's not everybody that know how to make gizdodo. How do you make gizdodo the best way and the right way? I bought CCMA's books, so no one. Cookbook, meal plan. And it's not because I cannot cook. I can tell you, I'm a great cook. But I like to find out different dishes. How does she make this? Okay, what does she have in her cookbook that she does not have on her YouTube? And by the way, I live by CCMA's YouTube channel, right? But like, I'm like, if she has all these things on YouTube, why is she now doing cookbook again? But I want to find out, right? So if you begin to put yourself as the authority in what you know, like, I know how to make gizdodo. I'm an expert gizdodo maker. By the way, gizdodo is gizzard and dodo, made in a very nice, sumptuous way. Right? I'm a gizdodo maker. Nobody knows how to make gizdodo like I do. And you start to make gizdodo in such a sumptuous way on Instagram. People can see, yeah, okay, guys, I have written this guide. It could be an ebook, it could be a PDF, it could be a video that you record, it could be anything on how to make gizdodo. And I'm selling it for a stipend. And you put the link in your bio and tell people to go and pay, no matter how small, how, whatever the amount, right? And you start to sell that. There's a lot of resources online on how to sell digital products, basically. So figure out what it is that you know that most people don't. And you don't have to be an expert to be able to sell digital products. You just need that 1% edge. What do I do best? Or what do I do better than an average person? And not say you should go and do gizdodo. Hey, gizdodo is an example. Right? What do I do, or what have I gone through in my life that I have overcome that I can teach people how to overcome as well? So you don't need to be an expert. You don't need a certification. You don't need nothing. You just need that 1% edge. What can I do, and what can I teach people? And And the last option is that I want to talk about is obviously remote job, which is like a regular 9 to 5. And I will be dwelling a lot more around this. But I understand that some of those other options that I've described might have been the one for you. But let me tell you a bit about remote jobs, and then I'll ask in the comment section, which one appeals most to you. Remote job is just like I've described, like a regular 9 to 5. You find a skill that you have, you package that skill in a way that is sellable, you pitch yourself to business owners or hiring managers or recruiters, you find job applications or vacancies and you apply to them, you land the job, they send you a contract, you sign the contract and you start working. They give you time, you have resumption time and closing time. So you know that, what's the word? I start work at 9 and I close at 5. Whether I work from home or I work from the cafe or I work from anywhere, it doesn't really matter as long as I show up at work and I put in my best. So basically it's like your traditional job, but you're doing it from wherever you want, basically most likely from home. And you'll probably be able to earn, in foreign currencies, and you're growing your career basically. So it's not any different from your traditional job, except that it's remote. Okay, so I've listed 3 options. I want you to tell me which one appeals the most to you. Is it freelancing? Is it selling digital products, or is it finding a remote job and landing a remote job? Which is the most appealing? For some of these categories, obviously, they have their pros and cons. For freelancing, you own your time, you're able to dictate how you work, who you work with, and things like that. However, it also puts a cap on how much you can earn. You only earn what you do. You cannot say man work, man no work, man go chop, is a lie. You earn what you put in, just like an entrepreneur. For digital products, also is very similar. However, you have the autonomy of time as well. You are able to build up yourself as an authority in your industry, because if you start to sell a digital product, it means that we can associate your name to that thing that you're doing and you're selling. And so that's something. However, it also puts a cap on how much you're able to earn. People earn so much more. Like, people sell digital products and they're earning into the like hundreds of thousands a year. People are earning some people's monthly salary, yearly salary, annual salary in a month, right? People are earning 30K a month, 50K a month. That's someone's salary for a year by just selling digital products. So it doesn't mean that you will earn less. It just means that what you earn is dependent on what you put in. For remote job, however, I find a job, I apply, I put in the work. They say this is my job description. I do the job. Ogata, Jalari money will be complete. You collect money at the end of the month, is basically your 9 to 5. But you're able to build a career. You're able to grow in your career. You go from being entry level to mid-level, to being a manager, to being senior manager, to those kind of things. So what options appeal the most to you, and which of these options is, if you consider it, which of it will be your lowest hanging fruit? Which of it can you do today? If we leave this call, and this is the thing, I forgot to tell you this at the beginning of the session. After this session, I want every single person here to have had a plan of, this is how I want to approach my career. This is when I begin. I begin tomorrow. Tomorrow is Sunday. I begin on Monday. This is how I start. These are the steps I need to take from where I am to where I want to go. And I want you to leave this session feeling like, I may not know, how this will go, but I have a plan. I have a plan because I attended this class. That's how I want you to think about it. So in starting that trail of thought, which of these 3 things I've listed is the lowest hanging fruit? When you think about it, what can you do today? What can you do today? I'm not saying write that for me, but start thinking about it. If I were to find an opportunity today, what would that be? And let me explain the concept of low hanging fruit to you. Nkechi have said a bit about it earlier, but let me just let me expatiate on that thought a little. Is low hanging fruit is saying, my dream life is to become the director or the VP of growth, like Nkechi in my future. To become a VP of growth in a global company. To become a VP of growth means I am a top executive, right? I've grown so much in my career. This is who I've become. So VP of growth in growth, VP of growth and marketing, or VP of customer experience. Let me use me. That's my goal. I want to become a VP of customer experience. However, I've been at home for the last 6 years. I haven't done anything. Maybe I worked in customer experience previously, but that was just it wasn't anything that I think is significant enough to be able to get me into being a VP of growth. Or I'm just starting out in my career. This whole career thing you're saying is so foreign to me. I've never been in a corporate setting before. I don't even know what I'm going to do, right now. So how can I even jump from where I am now to going to become VP of growth? Or, I've been in customer experience, but I've had to run a business where I'm selling wigs on Instagram. How could I become VP of growth? So do you have all these obstacles stacked up against you? And trust me, you're not alone. I forgot to tell you this earlier. This transition you're about to make is global. Women in other African countries are going through the exact same thing that you're going through. So you're not alone. You're not unique. You're not different. There's nothing about your story that is so special that I say, you don't know. If you know my story, then you will know. Nothing under the sun is new. Solomon said it. But more importantly, what you're going through right now is being felt by thousands, millions of women across the world. And for whatever reason, we will get there. But for whatever reason, they're finding how to do this transformation, how to do this transitioning, and they're being successful at it. So the question is, what do you need to figure out to be able to also make the transition happen for you? So let's come back to this slide. You figured out where you are, and you know that there are fences to cross, there are hurdles to cross. To be able to cross that hurdle, you need something tangible today. Now, for me, even though I wasn't thinking about it that way, for me, my low-hanging fruit was getting that job that was paying me 150K. Don't forget, I was in a rut. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And then I decided that maybe I'll try customer success. I started to learn about customer success. I loved what I was learning. And suddenly it became okay, maybe this is something I can consider. Then there was a job that says they were going to pay me 150K. That time, 150K was a big deal. Let me not even lie. But looking back now, I must have felt, okay, it's not where I want to be, but it gives me an opportunity to get my foot in the door, like Nkechi told you, right? It gives me an opportunity to get started in this field that I have found, in this line of work. I've done sales, I've done business development, but I've never really done customer experience before. So this is where I start. If this is where I start, then I will take the very minimal salary and start to build my profile from there. I'll start to build my what's the word now? Build a stage for myself, build a career for myself. I start here and I grow from there, right? So Olayemi, I see your message. Being a counselor, being a coach at anything is also an opportunity that it's not just something you can market or you can sell as a digital product seller or as a freelancer or just by offering counseling sessions. You can also get a corporate job with some of these coaching sites. There are tons of them now these days. And you can enroll as a marriage counselor or as a support counselor or something and start from there. There are a lot of opportunities online, really. Think about it. Think about anything. What is the one thing that you want to do? And don't shoot yourself in your, like, don't say, are you sure would I be able to work here? Is there a job like this? Is there a job like this for someone like me? Think about it. In fact, leave it in the comment. What is the thing that, I see a medical doctor and you say that's the only thing you know how to do. For medical doctors, it's a dicey institution, just because you people have a lot of specializations, right? And I'm not sure what that specialization is like for you. If it's a generalist, I don't know what that entails. But what I know also is that there are health tech companies, health technology or technology health. You understand what I mean? Please leave me English. Health tech companies that are also looking to hire medical professionals who can provide telemedicine, and who are able to profile medical solutions online. So literally just sit with yourself and say, what is the one thing that I know I want to do? And where can I find these opportunities? How can I get my foot in the door? Getting your foot in the door might mean starting from entry level. If you haven't done career before, getting your foot in the door might mean becoming a consultant, doing a course and figuring out how to offer these services and pitching yourself literally to businesses and saying, I can do this thing for you, even if I do it for free, because I know that the reason I'm doing this is so that I can build a profile and build my career, right? So there are lots of opportunities to figure out what your low-hanging fruit can be, but you need to sit with yourself and say, what is the lowest hanging fruit for where I want to go? So for me, it was finding that job. It was working in that role. It was me putting myself out there and putting myself into that job, finding out that I enjoyed it and that I want to continue to build a career in it. So let's move on. Now, okay, this was a different slide. Apologies. Yeah, now this is another subject that I want to discuss. It's almost disjointed, but stay with me. I want you to learn to use your skip gap year. Your gap year to your advantage. And what do I mean by using your gap year to your advantage? So if you have been in the industry, you've worked in corporate setting, you've worked in this particular role that you're trying to get a remote job at before, but you've only taken a break, to focus on whatever. The question is, what are you doing in this moment? Nkechi had told us all the things that she did. She enrolled to different opportunities, learning and networking, and going for all this global summit and all this, she was looking for opportunities even whilst she wasn't working. So what are you doing with this year, first of all? What are you doing with this time of your life? Is the first question that you need to ask yourself, and how can you maximize it? The second question you need to ask yourself is, after you've maximized it, you've learned, you've done all the things you need to do, or you're on the right path, the next question is, how can you now sell the work you've done in this period to an employer? How can you present it in such a way that it doesn't feel like, I'm just looking to join your company, for the last 5 years, I've just been a stay-at-home mom. You have not just been a stay-at-home mom, because in those numbers of years, you've spent time working, you spent time learning. More importantly, you're able to identify what your transferable skills are, and you're able to build on that. As a stay-at-home mom, you think that you're not doing anything significant, but you are. You're managing the home front. Managing the home front is managing resources that it's like we minimize the work. And I think it happens to most professions or careers that are women in what's the word? That are women focused. So it just feels like we don't really value the work that we do. But when you think about it, as a stay-at-home mom, you're managing resources, you're managing human resources too. And difficult humans at that, humans that you cannot tell, sit down, then they will sit down, right? You are being, what's it called? You are building up on your time management or your time management skills. You understand that if I don't start dinner at 6, then these people will not eat till 7. Then it means that if they don't eat by 7, they don't go to bed until 9. If they don't go to bed till 9, they don't wake up in the morning. Do you understand? That's ability to just plan out your family, to project manage your family, to do the things that are needed to keep the family running is super essential. You need to figure out what is it that you do and you do best at home on the home front, and make a list of all those things. As far as like the corporate world is concerned, how can you apply these skills that you have learned in being a stay-at-home mom to the corporate world, because it will be very important when you start to pitch yourself, when you're writing your CV, your cover letter, when you're telling a story about where you've been and how far, or how what's the word, and how much you've grown, you know, in the time space that you've been away from work. LinkedIn now has a feature, thankfully, that they launched, I think March of this year or so. And I'm going to stop sharing this presentation. We'll come back to it, but I want to show you how it works on LinkedIn so that you can start to think about that from that perspective. So on LinkedIn here, if you go to, let me start this again. Can everybody see my screen? My LinkedIn screen? Yes, can you see my screen? Okay, thank you. It's not bold, Abby. I'm just going to, is it better now? Okay, great. Better? Fantastic. So I have gone to, this is my profile, by the way. This is my profile. So I go to my profile on LinkedIn. I go to my experience session on LinkedIn and click on plus. You on Instagram, you are saying no. I cannot share my screen on Instagram. I don't understand. What do you what do you want from me? Please. I can't share my screen on Instagram. That's why you should join this webinar. But if you go to LinkedIn, just follow what I'm saying. You might be able to replicate it on your end as well. So you go to LinkedIn, you go to your experience session, and you click on the plus icon. Yeah. So you can see add position or add career break. You click on add career break, and it shows you all these different options around what you can do and how you can present that, the numbers of years that you've been away, right? You can actually zoom in yourself while watching. Okay, but let me zoom in well for you guys. So you click on add career break. It says experiences outside a linear career path that can make people better colleagues, thought partners or leaders. Share this moment to share the moments that makes you unique, right? You can also read the articles they have about career breaks, but that's not why we're here. So they say, what type of career break did you take? Now read this and read it carefully, because this can become the way that you start to tell the story about this time of your life, this time where you're not doing anything. How do you describe it to anyone? So they have different options. They have bereavement. Maybe you lost someone and you took some time to mourn them. They have career transition. So you've been in a role, you want to transition into a new role. They have caregiving. You have a sick, what's called a sick relatives that you're taking care of. You have full-time parenting, which is probably the bucket that most of us will fall into. You've taken a couple of years to parent your child or your children. That's something that also works, right? Or maybe you took a gap year to do whatever. You don't need to share personal information, to travel, to whatever, gap year. Or you had a layoff or position was eliminated from the company, and so you are taking a few years to come back to the industry. Or you had an health or well-being issue, or you're pursuing a personal goal, like Lamina says that she's trying to get, she's a marriage counselor and she's just trying to build that. So maybe you decide that I want to pursue coaching or counseling, and so you decided to pursue that goal. Yeah, entrepreneurship, Nkechi, thank you. So, or you decide to do personal development and professional development. You want to take a course, you want to do master's degree, you want to pursue your PhD, whatever it is, that's where that falls into. You relocate, like me, and you're like, look, I want to spend some time just settling in, and you take a break. Or you retire. I don't know why it's not for us. Or you travel the world, or you do voluntary work. So these are options that you can start to think about as to, how do I craft this gap between the last time I worked and this new season of my life, like this new job that I'm looking for? How do I tell the story around where I'm currently at? What do I say is the story? So if I say the story is full-time parenting, what have I learned in this time? What am I doing for my professional life or professional career to continue to stay relevant? And how am I also presenting the soft skills and the transferable skills that I'm gaining in this time to a potential employer? So that's about all I wanted to show you guys about gap year. And then of course you go ahead and share your location, how long the gap year has lasted, and if it's still ongoing, you say that, and then you take this session here to do a detailed description. The most important description is what are you doing now outside of this gap year that is helping your career or that will help your career? What are you learning, and what are the things that you're building? What skills are you building here that can help you, get opportunities in future? All right, that's it. Let's go back to the presentation now. Ooh. All right. Can you guys see my presentation? Yes? Yeah, okay. Thank you, Ayo. Thank you so much. Yeah. Now let's go on. Introducing my 5-part framework for attracting and positioning yourself for global opportunities and remote opportunities. This framework was what I was telling you about earlier that I used in 2020 that got me, several opportunities that I had to choose from. And this is the framework that I keep teaching over and over and over again. And lots of people have come back with so many insightful feedback on how this has worked for them and what are this 5-part framework that I want to share with you. The first one is self-discovery, which means like you try to figure out, where do I fit in? The second one is skill gap analysis. How do I get from where I am to where I'm going? What we've been discussing all along. The third one is visibility. How do I build a professional brand?
It's 1 o'clock.
Oh my God, sorry guys. Okay, we need to start rounding off now. I'm just going to really run through this session so that we can close this. Visibility. I want to build a professional brand. I've been a stay-at-home mom. I've not been in the industry, but I want to build a career. How do I go from where I am? How do I begin to show people that I have the capacity to do the job? And of course, the next one is strategy. How do you craft a unique job search strategy that is unique to you and to your that is unique to you, your personality, and to the time that you have. So some people can afford to be searching for jobs all day long. You maybe cannot afford that just because your current schedule is just so freaking tight, and you're like, maybe I have 2 hours. So how do I make sure that I'm using those 2 hours in a way that is very impactful? And last one, of course, is interviews. You've done all this work, you've landed an interview. How do you scale the interviews? Now, self-discovery. Where do you fit in? I've been asking this question literally from the beginning of this session. What do you think that what skill set do you have, and how can you apply that skill set to a remote work setting? Funnily is for most remote jobs, they are usually in the tech industry because for a company to operate remotely, then they need to be tech enabled. It's not the other way around. It's not they need to be a technology company to be able to work remotely. No, we have what's called not-for-profit companies, that's NGOs that are also doing remote job. We have that are offering remote opportunities rather. We have retails that are offering remote opportunities. We have, I said it earlier, health companies, what are they called now? Medical companies that are also, doing, so it doesn't really matter what industry they're in, as long as they're tech enabled, then they're able to offer remote opportunities. So, but for you to work in that role, you need to think of yourself as someone who is working in tech. And how can you figure out what can you do now? You can sell. How can you be an amazing salesperson that is able to present your skill set as someone who can work in tech? Tommy says, I have a question. How do you get paid in dollars with the restrictions in Nigeria? Like, do you have to open an account, a bank account abroad, or how does one go about it? So I'll tell you how I do mine. I have direct reports at work who are from Nigeria, who are currently living in Nigeria, who earn, obviously, they earn from the company. So some of them use their domiciliary account and the company is able to pay into their domiciliary account directly. Other people use TransferWise, which was what I did. So my company paid directly into my TransferWise or your Payoneer account, depending on what works for you. And then you figure out a way to move that money from your TransferWise account to your Naira account. In my case, I had to look for someone who had a US account who I can move my money into their account, then they change it to. There are lots of English. There are lots of arbitrary. I don't have this. Sorry, I'm not on my phone. My phone would have told me the pronunciation for this word, but there's arbitration services. I think is what it's called, that help you do the conversion, and they're able to also convert it to you in using the market rate, the current market rates, instead of bank rates. And yeah, that's really what some people do. So there are lots of services that you can employ or that you can use that allow you to do that. So back to what I was saying, you need to figure out how to match what you currently are able to do to the tech industry, and how that fits in, and how you're able to present yourself. Then once you figure that out, you figure that, okay, I can sell. I know how to sell. I've done this before. In fact, I have a business right now where I'm selling stuff on Instagram. Maybe I can sell, or maybe I can do social media management because I want to build a career in marketing. Or maybe I can sell and I just want to build a career in sales, in tech sales, right? And continue to build that up till I become, VP of sales someday. How do you move from what do you need to learn to go from where you are now, to the person for the jobs? So first thing I want you to do is go and look for those jobs. Use my directory. I want to say the link is in my bio, but I don't think it's in my bio anymore. But I'll put it after this webinar, so you can find those remote job opportunities where you are able to find them. And you read the job requirements. What are these people looking for? When they say they're looking for someone in sales, or they're looking for a salesperson, what are the biggest things they are saying? This is important to us. You have to have this, you have to have that, you have to. In some of them, they will say they're needing 3 years experience. You don't have 3 years experience, so ignore that. You don't have to be 100%. You don't have to be a 100% fit to be able to apply to those job opportunities, because trust me, job requirements are they're like someone who's making love lists. What do you want in a man? Tall, dark, and handsome. Pastor, but street boy. But you get what I mean. You know what you have on your who to marry list. So that's exactly what job requirements are like. Like, we want you to be a superhuman, but we want you to be very kind. We want you to be, So you look at that and you say, realistically, which of these things do I have? Which of these things can I build upon? And how can I become the person for this job, to where if I apply, I have at the very least, 70% chance of being considered. Some of the things that you need to build on might be a soft skill, might even be maybe taking a certification course that can help you, upskill. It might be that you currently have everything you need, to be able to access that. Don't forget, we're looking for low-hanging fruit, right? Low-hanging fruit, again, is pitching yourself. I forgot that part. You know what you can offer. You look for businesses that are looking for your services. Even if they're not looking for your services, they don't have it anywhere that they're looking for someone in this industry, or there's someone that can do this job for them. You're out of heart that they're looking for someone like that. Pitch yourself to them. Show them that you can do the job. Let me give you a case in point. So there's someone, I don't know if she's on this call or she's listening on Instagram, that has been pursuing me for the longest time, that she wanted to be my virtual assistant. And she wanted to help me manage my social media accounts. And I'll look at this person and say, I'm not looking for virtual assistants. I don't even think I'm there yet, as far as my brand and my, out of work, my side also is concerned. I don't think I'm there yet, and so, but one of the things that I was hoping that she would do is that she would show me that she's capable of doing this job, rather than just telling me all the time, and please, ma'am, can you employ me? Can I work with you? I want to see beyond that. I want to, please don't do, I'll just ignore you. I'll not even answer you. I'll not even acknowledge your DM. But this is what I would have loved. And this is what I think you can learn from this is, if she created a social media plan based on my content and the kind of content that I've been sharing on social media, she goes on my page and says, okay, so this person talks about faith. This person talks about parenting and motherhood and marriage and love. And this person talks about remote work. How do I, if I was going to work for them, what do I need? What would their page look like? And then she creates a 30-day social media plan, and she sends that to me and says, "Ma, if you hire me, just give me a trial. This is what I'm going to do for your page in the next 30 days. Do you have any comments? Is there anything you would like me to change?" Do you understand? Like, I will look at it and say, she's so thoughtful. Okay, let me give it a try. So that's what I mean when I say pitch yourself. You go to someone, they say they don't have an opportunity here, they don't have the resources to pay you. You figure out, you people, whether you like it or not, I'm going to work with you anyways. And I'll tell you what, I did this in 2020 when I was looking for a job. There was this new company that was starting out that, and I think I shared this on my YouTube, one of my YouTube videos some time ago. They were just starting out, and I figured that, they were going to need customer experience. I know, they should have a customer experience team, I thought. And I did a bit of research, into like what the company does. They were into what do you call people that move money, FX? What are they called? The word will come to me soon. But so I did a bit of research into them, and I realized that on Google Play Store, customers were literally complaining about not their service, but mostly about their support. It's like, I wrote you an email 10 days ago, nobody have responded to my email. You people are terrible. And I found that it was the CEO himself that was literally responding to them and saying, no, it's not Forex, it's they move like dollars to naira to, I don't know what it's called. I literally can, I'll come back to it. Anyway, so the guy was responding to them and saying, we're so sorry, we would attend to your email. I'm like, this is an anomaly. First of all, you are the CEO of the company. You should be focusing on better things, like raising money, like talking to investors, like building a badass product. Second of all, like, it just didn't make sense to me. So what did I do? And I know that they were not hiring. I wrote an email. The title of the email was, "The role you are not hiring for." It's arbitration, but there's a different name that industry is called. It's a different name. No, it will come to me. Just give me some time. My brain can be like that. It's pregnancy brain. Anyways, so I literally wrote an email saying, "The role that you're not hiring for, customer experience and growth." And then I told them what I found. I'm like, look, in doing a bit of research into your company, I found that, 60% of your requests are coming from customers who are very unsatisfied about the kind of support that you give. And I know for sure that this is important to you, because I see that you are the one who is making this, who is responding to. I sent it to the CEO. I had contact from this. I looked for the CEO's email and sent it to him. I said, I see that you are the one that is, responding to these queries. I feel strongly that you can do better things with your time. This is who I am. This is the kind of experiences that I've had. This is what I have done in the past, and this is what I'm able to offer your business. I feel like if you hire me, I would bring sauce. I'll bring sauce and juice. And then I told him, I gave a list of all the things I was going to do for him. And guess what? I was offered a job that they were not looking to hire anybody for, the job that they never have budget for. I was offered that job. Of course, I declined it because I got a better opportunity. But I said that to say, looking for your lowest hanging fruit also means pitching yourself for these opportunities, because they will not land on your laps. Nobody's going to come and meet you and say, so you are looking for a job, Abi, there's this small job here. You're going to go out and look for it. They're going to tell you no, but you're going to insist that this job, I'm going to get it. Even if they pay you 2 naira, take that 2 naira. Don't tell anybody it's 2 naira they're paying you, but continue to build your profile to where people can start to identify. They can think about, I'm looking for someone who does social media marketing. Yes, Abimbola does this well. Do you understand what I mean? So start looking for that. Somebody says, when you pitch yourself, won't you look down like you're desperate or cheap? Plus, won't that allow them to pay you low? Now, there are different mindsets to these things. First, if you consider yourself as, I have what it takes, I'm bringing you a solution, I'm about to save your life. It's like somebody is drowning or somebody is choking. You're in a restaurant, you're in a mall, somebody's about to die. They are literally losing their breath. and you have the, what's it called, CPC, Abby? Is that what it's called? That thing, that skill of helping revive, is that what it's called? You guys please correct me. Where you do nose, oh God, I don't know where everything is running from my brain. CPR, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for helping my life. So you have the CPR skills and you're able to help revive this person. And you go to them in their moment of struggle and you say to them, look, I have CPR skill. I can help you right now. I can do this for you. Do you want me to do it? You think that they'll be saying, what's this? Why is this one selling himself so cheap? Well, this guy is so desperate. They will tell you, yes, we need it. Help us. Help me. That's like, if you consider yourself to be that talented, to have the skill that is required to be able to do the job that, people need. And you see that, look, for me, it was like, I've done this customer experience thing before. See, by myself, I've brought clients just through no sales, no marketing, nothing, just by customer experience. Customers have been added to the business just through customer experience. That's the thing that I bring to your team. I'm not just saying, let me come and do customer support for you. I'm saying I will do customer support, but customer support that will bring growth to your business. You need it. You need it. I just need to help you see that I'm the one you need. And you put yourself also in a negotiating, on the other side of the table, where you're able to negotiate to say, look, this is what I offer, this is what I'm bringing. You take it or you leave it, because I have that people that I want to go and pitch myself to. It doesn't make you look cheap. It just makes you look like someone who is able to identify opportunities and go for it. When those people offered me their salary, I told them that no, no, I can't do that. I understand that you're not hiring for this role, that you don't have budget for it, but you better go get your act together and come and give me salary that I'm worth, because what I'm bringing to your company, you can't find it anywhere else. So again, it's the mindset. And yes, you have to be either desperate or you're not desperate. You either have to want to work remotely or you don't want to work remotely. So in your heart of hearts, you're desperate. I just admit it. I want this job. I really want it. But I'm going to do it from a mindset of someone who knows their worth, who appreciates their worth. And you need to know that you're worth something, first of all, before you start to pitch yourself. Okay, so I'm going to move on from this because I said I was going to move fast. So you figured out what you need to do to become that person, and then you start to learn and upskill yourself to becoming that person. And the next thing you want to do is brand visibility. Like, you want to start building your brand. Like, this one is not even, it's a non-negotiable, except if you don't want to work remotely, then maybe there are other opportunities, there are other ways to do this. But if you want to work remotely, the only way that a company can find out about you is via what your online profile is saying, is what they can find. They type your name on LinkedIn or on Google, what comes out? What can they find about you? What is the one thing that, they can read about you that jumps at them and makes them feel like, yeah, this is the person that we should hire instead of this other person. So you figured out what you want to do, you start to upskill. The next thing you want to do is start to write or just make sure that you're presenting or positioning yourself as the person that can do the job. And in your own case, you maybe don't have the experiences that you can, start talking about. But one of the biggest ways that I recommend is in upskilling yourself and taking courses and reading articles, you go ahead and start writing about what you're learning. So you can, for example, take this particular class that we're having now, and you can make a note or you can write something about it on LinkedIn to say, I'm ready to make transition from being a stay-at-home mom to working remotely, and there were a few things that I learned from this class. These were the things I learned. So you replicate that every time you're taking a course, you're reading an article, something jumps at you, you're like, that sounds very profound. You take your personal learnings, you add it to what you've learned, because you're not going to regurgitate what you've read, because that we're not doing that. We're not what the heck is wrong with English this afternoon? We're not going to use somebody's content illegally. I don't know what the word has run away from my head. You're going to digest that. You're going to use it, and you're going to add your experience. Yes, thank you. Plagiarism. We're not going to plagiarize someone's content. We're going to make it our own, and then go on LinkedIn, or you can even start a blog. I started a blog. That was the biggest I think it was the biggest thing that helped me when I was going to get that 30K job, that first one after that 150 job. It was like I had it. So I included it everywhere. It was on my CV, it was on my cover letter, it was on my LinkedIn, I was sharing, if you wanted to meet me, you need to go and read what I've written first. So you know that I'm not just pitching empty barrel to you. I know how to do this job. So everything I learned, I process it, I subject it to my previous experiences or to my personal understanding. And then I come to social media or Instagram or LinkedIn or wherever, or my blog or Medium, and then I write out what I've learned and I say, these are the things these are the ways I think this can be done. The reason you're doing it is not for hype. You're not looking for God, English. You're not looking for popularity, basically. You're looking for positioning. You want an employer to search out your name and see what you've done and see what you've written and start to feel like, okay, this person has something. Because guess what happened to me? One of the articles I wrote about a happy customer is not a satisfied customer, or a satisfied customer is not necessarily a happy customer, because I thought that if a customer is satisfied, they can just say, oh yeah, that was satisfying, that was okay. But if they're super happy with you, guess what? They will bring somebody else your way. No, I think it's the other way around. A happy customer is not necessarily a satisfied customer. The fact that they're happy with you does not mean that they are completely satisfied. But I feel like you're not chasing clouds. Thank you, Victoria, or validation. The fact that they're happy with you means that they are able to also bring somebody along and refer you to their friends and, make a lot of noise about your brand and about your products, and which means that you can continue to grow from there, And so, when I went into the interview, one of the questions that the interviewer had asked me was, so I read this article that you wrote. Do you want to tell me a bit more about that? Do you see? So like it puts you in a place of authority. It makes you the person that's, that is interesting compared to the other person that did not have an online brand that they're building. Now, moving on, and you want to create a job search strategy that is unique to you. All of these things I've mentioned so far about pitching yourself, looking for low-hanging fruits, those are job search strategy. You just need to figure out which of them do you want to apply, because you necessarily don't want to do everything because you don't want to get overwhelmed, right? What you want to do is you want to be able to craft what makes sense, what makes the most sense to you right now, which is the one thing or two things or three things that you can focus on that can drive or move the needle for you. And one of the biggest things I usually like to emphasize on in this session is networking. Networking is a non-negotiable, particularly for people like you and I who have who are transitioning from being a stay-at-home mom to the corporate world now. You want to go on LinkedIn and look for people who have your unique stories like you, who have similar stories to you, and you want to start connecting them to say, hey, I see that you have a gap here that says that you were doing full-time parenting. How did you make that transition? What were the biggest hurdles that you had to cross? And you start making friends, professional friendship or relationships, right? And you do that. The second thing you want to also focus on as far as networking is concerned is when you see a job application on some of those job sites, you don't just go outrightly and start applying to them. You go on LinkedIn, you find people who are working in that company, you speak to them. You speak to them, you ask them to refer you for the job, but don't just outrightly ask. Spend some time, nurture the relationship. I shared in my last YouTube video about how to ask for referrals. You give them value, then you make your request to say, could you refer me? And then you make sure that you have a pitch that you send to them to say, could you share this, with the hiring manager or the recruiter of this particular role? So yeah, job search strategy. The next thing you want to do is, of course, scale the interview. For this session, biggest thing I'd like to, focus on is telling your stories. Telling stories that sell. Right? You need to be the person who, when they ask you one question, you're not just answering the question. For example, they say, why should we hire you? That's very simplistic, right? You would say, and you have 1 to 10 reasons why they should hire you. Hire me because I'm skilled, hire me because I'm talented, hire me because I'm just giving those as random examples. But if you go beyond just telling them why to telling them a story, people remember stories much more than they remember your reason. They remember story. They remember your story much more than they remember your point. You know, they would describe you by, you know that girl, the one that was staying at home for 6 years, before they remember, you know, all the points that you shared with them. So make sure that you have stories that can anchor, that can be the selling point for all of your life experiences and some of the questions that you'll be asked during interviews. As you can see, I'm literally just running through because I've taken too much of your time. Now, this is the last and final thing that I want to share with you guys. I've shared all of these things. It feels like it's a lot, but I want you, I've said this before, I want you to craft a plan for yourself and say, where do you begin? You're leaving this particular webinar right now. What's the next action for you as far as landing a remote job is concerned? What are the things that you need to do? What are the things that you need to outline for yourself to start with right now and say, from this moment, I'm going to make a list of the woman I want to be. From this very moment, I'm going to start to identify what are the lowest hanging fruits. From this very moment, I'm going to start pitching myself to businesses. I'm going to start consulting for businesses so I can build up my profile. From this moment, I'm going to start writing about what I'm learning and what I've learned so far during this, my gap year. Do you understand? Like, I want you to craft a plan, make a plan. You can see, for accountability purpose, share it with me or Nkechi, you know, on Instagram DM or write me an email. Just do it and create a plan that you're going to follow for the rest of this year and the first quarter of next year as you continue to search for your job. However, if you need more hand-holding and you're just like, okay, I've learned all these things, but it just feels like it's a lot right now. And all those pitches, all those things that you're talking about, I would love to have the template. I would love to understand these things, you know, deeper, and, you know, have someone guide me and coach me through all the different stages and through this framework that I've shared with you. Then you want to join my upcoming bootcamp. It starts on Monday, but officially tomorrow because the door closes tonight. So this night is when registration closes, right? And these are some of the things that my previous students have said about the bootcamp. So Elizabeth has said, look, this is it's an eye-opener for me. I wish that I attended a bootcamp like this before I started to build my career. This bootcamp has given me the confidence and hope to continue my job search. I lost hope at a point. And I currently feel confident and positive that I will find my dream job soon, thanks to the Remote Readiness Bootcamp. Zainab said, I would say it has been an eye-opener for me, and joining this bootcamp woke me up from my slumber and made me to see that I've been slacking concerning my career. I'm really grateful for this, and I've paid for so many courses, and I'm always confused. But with this bootcamp, the videos, the note, it made it easy to understand, and I'm glad that I met wonderful ladies in my cluster that I was assigned to. Mind you, a cluster is the very small group or small community, very well-knitted community that you join that holds you accountable to all the assessment. So it's not like the big community for all the bootcamp attendants, but you know, as you join a very small cluster of maybe 5 to 10 people that you guys just hold each other accountable. That's what the cluster she's talking about is. Linda says, my experience is one that words cannot describe. If you know how insecure a stay-at-home mom feels whenever career is mentioned, then you will understand where I was when I pre-bootcamp. The bootcamp was one where everyone felt their worth. No one struggled to belong. You didn't shame anyone or make us feel unqualified. Thank you, Timmy. Your humane gesture, like the way you just break out into heartwarming smile. Person is toasting me. Hope you relax. Thank you. That was Linda. This one says, that's Grace. Grace says, I've been trying to gain career clarity for months, but in the space of this bootcamp, which by the way is just 5 days, even before the bootcamp ended, I got a great percentage of all the clarity that I needed to kickstart. I also discovered a lot of things about myself in the process. Remote Readiness Bootcamp is a value-packed course and it superseded my expectation. That's why I would recommend it to anyone. So now let me tell you a bit about the bootcamp. Inside this bootcamp, there are 5 days of intensive group coaching. 5 days is intensive because it has exercises for every single every single class. For every single class, you have homework, you have work to do, you have cluster assignments, you know, just so that you're also doing the work while you're learning, right? So it's for 5 days. Then we have 2 live sessions. One of it is going to hold tomorrow, the other one will hold at the end of the bootcamp. It shows you, it helps you to ask your questions live. We'll do group coaching and live coaching sessions. And we have a resource of libraries with important templates, all the templates of pitches and everything that I've told you about. I will be sharing in that library, and you have an accountability community that I've told you about before to help you in your job site. That, I think, is the biggest deal of this entire bootcamp. You know how you take a course, but you don't finish just because nobody is really holding you accountable to that course. The bootcamp is not like that, just because there are lots of people within the bootcamp that are also cheering you on, that are on the same journey as you and are helping you to along the journey. So what's your next step? Register today. The link is in my bio, because registration closes at 11:59 p.m. tonight, unfortunately. But if you do not even join the bootcamp, I hope that this session has been impactful, has been relevant, and you've learned a thing or two, and you've been able to create your you've been able to create a work plan for yourself and for your career. Martha says that okay, you have payment issues. Okay, Martha, please, I know that you might have sent me a DM. Can you bump that DM up in my inbox again so that maybe we can look into that for you? All right, guys, I hope that this has been worth your time. I'm so sorry that we took your time for this long. I'm just going to stop sharing so you can see my face. Okay, how much is the bootcamp? The bootcamp is currently selling at 30,000 Naira, and I think $66. But the link, let me just share the link with you right now in the comment. Sarah. I'm going to share the link with you so that you can go ahead and take a look at the page to register for yourself. But if you never joined the bootcamp, guys, I want to know in the comment section, and I want you to promise me now that this session has been impactful enough for you to create a working plan for yourself, to say, this is what I am capable of doing, this is what I am going to do in the next few weeks or few months, and this is how I'm going to go about it. So do you make that commitment to me that you're going to create that plan? Yes, I want to see your yeses. Don't just type yes if you don't mean it. Are you going to create a plan, a working plan, a career plan for yourself based off of the learnings and things that you've learned in this class? Was it worth it? Okay. I see your yes. Thank you so much. Thank you, Lara. Thank you. Thank you, Martha. Thank you, Atinike, Vera. Yes. Yes, worth it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So thank you so much for your time. It's already 1:30 here, which will be 2:30 for most people. Yeah, I can't wait for the bootcamp as well. I can't wait to see you in there. It's going to be very hot. Thank you so much. I see Martha. This was insightful. Thank you both. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. And I will see you around. We will try and share this recording with everyone in their email, so you can look out for it if you want to go over what has been discussed again in the future, or you want to share with another woman who needs to hear some of the things that we discussed today. All right. Bye, people, and enjoy the rest of your day. I love you too.